Hi folks, AshIsTheRaven here, and yes, I'm going to focus on sprucepantherkmt yet again. I've had a series of PMs from her telling me that she's filed a DMCA against my last video due to her copyrighted material. I look forward to finding out how that goes. It could well be a red herring threat, you know how people like to think big and talk big rather than actually do something about it. I'm not entirely sure how the DMCA process works or how long it takes, but I am told that I should at least know my position at least by tomorrow or Thursday by the latest. If the video is still up there, then we can more or less come to the conclusion that sprucepantherkmt's threats are somewhat hot air. But I digress. Yeah, I'm going to focus on her a little because apparently she seems to think that she is some form of intellectual giant, which is kind of a shame, really. She seems to think she's doing me a favour by coming to her. If that's how you want to view it, that's fine. I mean, I'm not one to comment on people's subscriptions at the moment. You're 82 compared to my 792. But I digress. That's more like me commenting and me saying that my dick is bigger than yours. Probably a waste of time, really, at the end of the day. No, I'm going to kind of focus on your intellectual superiority in many ways. In fact, a lot of your baseless claims that, for example, black people cannot be racist. Bullshit. Everybody can be racist. Everybody can be prejudiced. There is one race that I concern myself with, and that is the human race. I don't care about this bullshit about which race is genetically superior or mentally superior to the other. It really doesn't make a fucking difference to me. If we were to go by genetics, to be quite frank, if anyone was less genetically advanced than me, they would still be just as important. It's probably a shame that you don't want to see beyond that. My problem with you is that yes, I do think that you are a racist, and yes, I do think that you are a black supremacist, and yes, I do think that you are a fucking bigot. That is not going to change unless you can convince me otherwise. You telling me what an intellectual giant you think you are simply because you talk like this. And we must ask the relevant questions. Doesn't make any difference to me whatsoever. I mean, at the end of the day, you made a racist statement to a white woman. You literally turned around and said that by virtue of her birth she is directly responsible for what her ancestors did. I hate to point this out to you, but Lara Logan probably wasn't even 4 when the apartheid system collapsed in South Africa. So quite how she was responsible for the political or wrongdoings going on in South Africa really escapes me. And considering that she is a well-known proponent of minorities' rights, you're talking out of your ass, to be honest with you. So if your intellectual superiority is dependent on where your brain happens to be sitting right now, your ass doesn't exactly denote much hope with regards to anybody's mental capacity, if you're anybody's intellectual superior, does it? You also went on and made a ridiculous statement in Blacks Can't Be Racist video that blacks automatically lash themselves to other persecuted minorities. Once again, I call bullshit. People are people. Blacks are just as racist and just as homophobic as the next person I know. In fact, it's a well-known fact that more blacks voted for Prop 8 as they did vote for Obama. It's interesting that, isn't it? So much for blacks lashing themselves onto a persecuted minority. But then again, I suppose this isn't about homophobia or anything. This is about race. This is about who's superior. What sickens me, sprucepantherkmt, is that you have the audacity to think that you speak for any persecuted minority in any country. In Africa, the population is quite literally committing genocide on people of its own colour. that happens on a regular basis in the continent in Africa. It almost happens on a regular basis in Eastern Europe. And given half the chance, if the fundamentalists could get their way, it would happen over here as well. White people, black people, polka-dotted people are just as much assholes as the next person. I don't know how to point this out to you, but you really have no idea what it means to be persecuted compared to what your parents, compared to what your grandparents and your great-grandparents went through. I think it's a tremendous audacity that you have any right to discuss how persecuted and how superior or inferior anybody is. So, and really, if you're going to PM me and show me what an intellectual giant you are, at least learn how to fucking spell. I'm not being a grammar Nazi here, but what the emails the PMs you sent me were in elite fucking speech. Ruffle? Every time I read ROFL, I go ruffle. What the fuck? An intellectual giant needs to display the intellectual superiority, the intellectual intelligence. And when I sent you a PM telling you exactly how I felt about the situation, how about your stance and everything, what was your response? Dude, I refuse to read all that. Well, I suppose it would be far too much for me to ask an intellectual giant like yourself to actually bother to read something that may be complex for you to understand. You also had the audacity to say that I was leeching off you. No, if I was really wanted to leech off somebody, your channel would be beneath my radar. I don't challenge people based on their subscription rate or their viewership rate or whatever. I challenge people based on their content. I challenge people based on their views. And if that means I'm going to give attention to the assholes here on YouTube like yourself, that's the risk I take. That's what free speech is all about. I don't agree with this. I'm not going to link this channel down below or mention this person's name because I will give him more credit than he actually deserves. If I'm debating somebody or bringing somebody up, it's only fair and honourable to let them A, know that I'm mentioning them, B, know that I'm talking about them, and C, let everybody else know that I'm talking about them. You have your comments set on approval, which means you're obviously more afraid of your intellectual superiority may not be as strong as you think it is. Talk about a glass ego. You don't approve video comments that oppose your point of view or actually make any common sense, and you've still yet to justify your statement on Lara Logan. I mean, you said, okay, in the comments you said she wasn't raped by by black men, she was raped by white Arab men. So you're telling me there are no black Arabs? Have you ever been to Egypt lately? It's kind of like a mixed culture. And where is Egypt? Oh, it's in Africa. So I'd like to ask, if the sexual assault of Lara Logan was karmic justice, don't you think it would have been karmic justice if a black man actually did the deed and not a white man? It kind of takes the karmic justice out of the statement, even though it's a fucking ridiculous statement to begin with. So yeah, Spruce Panther, by all means, I look forward to your copyright claim. Especially when you turn around and tell me how much you've actually lost financially on this. I can see the court papers now. You're suing me for 0.0 cents, for the loss of 0.0 cent, based on a video that was only 1 minute long. It hasn't even got advertising revenue. And exactly what were you suing me for? Copyrighted material? Well, fair use. Look it up. putting you in your place? Tough. Grow a pair of balls. Oh, wait a second. Could it be because I happen to be white? Am I kind of like an inferior white man now or something? I mean, what is your fucking stance on white people? That's really the question I have to ask. Anyway, it's up to you. You can either answer these questions or not. The window's open. Come right in. My backyard's open. So yeah. Until next time, this is the intellectually inferior AshIsTheRaven saying ciao.